Saw dudes, Mr. Few the Aquarium Dude, back with my lovely assistant Maralyn and our partner in crime, Theo. You can see he's huge. He's like 65 pounds now. He's 8 months old. But today we are going to be rescaping my 55-gallon aquarium. And so you can see tragedy has hit over New Year's. We had a big get-together with a bunch of friends. And so I set my aquarium lights with a lot of blue and like no white, so the aquarium looked like this for the party. It was pretty cool, but then I went to turn it back on and the white light on one of them does not work. And so I'm not going to focus on light too much. I know I'm thinking carpeting plant right here in the front, and so it gets high light there, but you can see these plants are really built to put light straight down. And so you see it's a little darker here, certainly darker here with these lilies. And so I'm going to see how it goes with this light. I mean, it is a really high-powered light. I've looked online at some different ones. Maybe in the future I'll be changing the light. But I'm going to build the scape around kind of having a center of light and then kind of pockets where I'll have more low-light plants on the left, on the right. And so I want to just go over some of the equipment, some of the plants I'll be using today. The first thing, I want some real hills, some topography in there. And so I filled these socks actually with these porous media that I used. If you watch my cherry shrimp tank, they're little pellets, and so they're just porous ceramic that is supposed to be used as a media. I'm going to be using it just to fill in that space because I have some kind of nicer, more expensive substrates I'll be using. I have 2 bags of fluorite black, and I don't think I'll be using 2 full bags of it in here. But it's a clay-based substrate. It has a lot of nutrients in it. And when they're clay, though, they're easily broken down, and they're really light. And so it's really hard to plant plants in. And so I'll actually be using this at the bottom where I have root-feeding plants like Amazon swords. You know, this guy right here is going to need it. This one right here is going to need it. All this jungle val on the back, the stuff that looks like grass, that feeds off the roots really heavy. And the last one is I have S. repens, which I just bought this at PetSmart. You know, it's really going to take a while for it to fill in. I'm going to wait a week or so after the scape, see how it's doing. If there's new growth, I'll go buy a couple more, kind of speed up that growing process. But so those are the plants. That's why I really want a good nutrient-heavy substrate. But then I'll also use Eco Complete. And I have 3 bags of this, so, you know, I got a little crazy on my spending there. But, you know, I can use it in the fish room, and, you know, it's my Christmas present. So, this is a volcanic rock, and so it's really porous, really high in iron, and heavier. And so this will actually cap this. So I'll put this heavy in spots where I have those root-feeding plants, and then there'll be a big layer of that everywhere. Some other features that I'm going to do in this aquarium. So I went over the plants, told you the light, the substrates, you know what we're doing there. But the last part is the driftwood. And so I've had this big piece for a long time now. I had some Java ferns growing really well on it. And I had, this is a Nano Petite Nubius. My plecos, apparently they got hungry, and in a week just destroyed all of them. And so, you know, they still have their roots, they still have their main stock. And so you can see, like this one, for example, it's growing back. They will grow back. So I got that piece of wood that I've had a long time, and I bought on Amazon some other pieces of driftwood just to add a little more detail to it. You can see I'll put a link in the description for where I got them on Amazon. $12 for 4 of these pieces. 2 were waterlogged, so they automatically sunk. The other 2 aren't, and so I'm going to have to either get it buried in there, kind of pinched under those socks, or maybe I'll have to tie a rock to it or something. It'll waterlog eventually. The last thing are these watering spikes, and so another thing I bought on Amazon. What they do is just water leaks through them over time, but they are awesome at 2 things. One will be for Pleco caves, yeah. Yeah, she knows it. One will be for pleco caves, which I don't plan on having plecos in this tank, but you know, a lot of different fish have utilize caves. So, you know, in the fish room, I have, you know, 4 or 5 different plecos for them. The other use is this will actually be an angel tank. So if you remember those 7 angelfish I have in that other room, they're getting bigger in that 30-gallon. Those apistos are getting mature and they're really not happy with those angels. And so I'm going to break them up. You know, it's a great tank for my living room because they're so comfortable. They're big. You can see them across the room. And so they actually, when they lay their eggs, when I get to breed them, you lay them straight up like this. And the female will actually go up and down it, lay the eggs. The male will fertilize on it. So, you know, a lot of people will use big pieces of slate. And I see these used a lot on YouTube. And so I bought a 4-pack of them. Again, super cheap on Amazon, especially compared to like buying a pleco tank. Pleco cave. They kind of add that extra. And so this was a quick little intro, going through it all. Alright dudes, we've been working here. Got all of the plants out, so you can see all my Amazon swords are in this bucket. Let me get this out. You can see this monster's looking good. Big root structure there. That's a flame sword, by the way, if you weren't sure. And then this lily has a ton. Crazy root structure. And actually, I never bought like a bulb. I've seen them online. Maybe I'll show you after. I can't find it in there, but there was a baby one in there that was actually a bulb. Let's see, maybe Maralyn can find it.
You might have put it in this one.
And so out of the buckets, we got our all our grass-like, they're called jungle val ones that were covering the back. We got our lilies, Amazon swords. We got our filter and those 2 socks, or I should say the filter intake. And so this thing gets absolutely disgusting. I'll use every one of these buckets of water to help clean that. And then fill the sink up, dechlorinate that water, give it another clean. As far as the substrate goes, if you've been watching on our time lapse, minus Theo knocking the camera over once, we have now filtered through all of the substrate. And it's been a mix. You know, this was my first aquarium, just upgraded 3 times. And so the first time I set it up, I had the black, orange, and red gravel. And then the natural gravel got in there. I had it like a quarter or a third of it was sand. And that mixed in. And so what I've done is, using the nets, filtered out all the sand. And just so I'll have a bucket of gravel and a bucket of sand for just other fish tanks, other projects. And so I'm letting all of the debris and just gunk that's been piling up, and I'm just going to let that settle in for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll take the rest of the water down using my siphon and scoop that sand out. You know, just clean the tank off with a wet rag and get started. The filter I don't have to clean because in preparation for this I cleaned it up, put some new filter pads in there, and so I do want to keep, you know, my biological media going, and there's a lot of good bacteria growing in there, so I don't want to kill that. And so dudes, we're going to take a break. The time lapse will keep rolling and we will get back to work once this settles.
Purchase your tracks today.
All right, dudes, we are finished with the scape. It's been about a week and a half since we finished it. Just letting the water clear up, plants kind of settle in to show you. First things first, though, thank you so much to my beautiful girlfriend and lovely assistant, Theo.
you.
There it is, teamwork all the way. So while Maralyn kind of gets a little curtain up so you guys aren't looking at me the whole thing.
Glare.
Oh yeah, there it is. So first off, all these guys are all up here hoping for some food. They look really white right now, but they are about as blue as I've ever seen an angel. And so let's see, it's just so bright. This might
Give them a little bit of food, maybe they'll.
Yeah, that might entice them. No, they just got to be at that perfect angle away from the light, but facing it. The camera just takes in that bright light so much. So, yeah, 4 Puerto Rican Blues. They call it a snowball. He's all white. I'm not sure. I can't remember what kind it is. We kind of call him the more like wild type just because he has the more natural colors. But
he's my favorite.
Yeah, Marilyn's favorite. His finnage is just so much longer than the other ones. Their colors are better, but you can tell his are a lot longer. And then we have just a yellow one that we had gotten in an assorted kind of group. So those are the fish. I know you guys hadn't seen them yet. Here's the scape all finished up. And so you can see, just to kind of say a few things that really I thought went well, a couple things I really had to adjust on the fly. The first thing that's gone awesome is the repens, S-repens. And so I got these at PetSmart. First plant, I've had success getting plants there, but never out of the little package. And so this is the first time I tried it, and it's doing awesome.
We have doubled.
Yes, we have doubled the amount, at least.
Like half.
So if you look right, oh boy, where am I? If you look right here, you can see that new stock coming out. Where's my thumb? That new stock coming out right there. And 2 days from now, that will be as big as this one, and I'll be able to pull them apart and plant them. So you can see I've started to really plant them deep, just so the roots really hold on. I got a couple mystery snails in here just to kind of clean up crew, get some algae done. And so they've kind of uprooted a few. So one big positive, the repens, they've done awesome. The other positive I really like, and then I'll have Maralyn pick a positive on the fly, but the other one I really like is these watering spikes. I don't have any big rocks in this, which I was thinking maybe I'd get some, add some throughout, but I really like, they just add a different color to it, and they'll also help me as I breed these angels to easily pull those eggs. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's hear it. What's one thing that you thought?
My favorite thing about the tank that we switched up was the topography and adding the hills to it. And it's a lot darker now. Before it was brighter, but we've had friends come over too and say that, oh my gosh, I like how it's darker. It just highlights the bigger things in the tank that we wanted, like the repens and stuff, so.
Yeah, Theo loves it too. One really good thing about that light and dark that she had brought up is the angels' aggression is a lot less because they can always kind of find a little corner where they don't see each other.
Right.
I got a sponge filter back here. Maybe someday I'll show you guys cleaning it. I mean, it's nice. You can see. You can barely tell it's there at all. Just to add a little more flow to it. That corner really is stagnant in the old setup. The last thing to really look at, or I should say, this is one thing that I didn't expect, is how long it took this guy to kind of start taking up nutrients. So everything else really took off, and you can see like this one, and this one. Those leaves were just really, really light. Yeah, almost clear and white. And this one and this one have came out the last 2 days, and they really have a good red color again. So
the new growth is really showing.
Yeah, so those roots have really started to grab those nutrients. So pretty awesome. One thing I didn't expect as we went through it is how cloudy the substrate made the water. And so just to show how well that pinky floss works on this broadside, where you can see the whole depth of the aquarium. A lot of times they look good from this angle, and then when you flip over here, you can start to see the kind of like haze. and you can see it's just crystal clear. So
It's really coming together.
yeah, it's really came together. So the scape, I'm loving it. I don't see anything I really want to adjust. Dudes, I really appreciate you coming along for the ride. Mr. Few the Aquarium Dude, Theo, and Maralyn, out.